So you were talking about the YouTube community. It seems to be a pretty tight-knit group where collaboration is, everyone's pretty on board for it and likes to bring people in for videos. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, you know, actually it goes in waves. I mean, YouTube's fairly new. It was like 8 years ago, invented 8 years ago. So everybody's kind of just like winging it. And 4 years ago, when they first started having multi-channel networks, before the multi-channel network started, everybody was collaborating. That everybody was open to collaboration. There was no beef really with other channels. And then I feel like in around 2010, when the multi-channel network started popping up, it kind of separated people, and then people started getting a lot more successful because depending on what network you're with, those people in that network were promoting each other's content. So all the channels blew up, but then they started isolating themselves because it was like, oh, well, you know what? I'm doing my own thing now. I don't really need other people. And so people kind of stopped doing collaborations. And now, now that views are going down, or like the layout's changing and it's more saturated, and we kind of have to band together a little bit more to get the views and subs back up and retain audience. You see a lot more collaboration, and which is kind of fun. I'm very on the side of collaboration because it brings the heart back to YouTube, which I feel is what drew me to it in the first place, is that these people are helping each other get successful, as opposed to like what I've seen more in the film and TV industry is where it's every man for themselves, and people are kind of stabbing each other in the back to get where they want to go. YouTube, it felt like, you know, people were pulling each other up, which I really like and I'm a strong supporter of.
So it used to be like middle school where everyone was friends.
Yes.
And then it got to high school and everyone got their little cliques.
Some people got into people were jocks, some people were in the theater, and then, you know, there were beefs, and
now it's going to be more like college where then everyone's friends again.
Yeah, and then soon everyone will have a family and kids and no one will talk to each other again.
Yeah.
We'll see each other at like an annual thing.
YouTube reunion.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's some of the collaborations you've done? Like you talked about Totally Sketch. Mm-hmm. Which ones are kind of the most fun to like think back on, or like have?
Oh, well, I really like Totally Sketch. The shoots tend to be a little bit longer because we do a lot of improv, but I think knowing who you're working with, the cast, the director, the crew, even, you get more comfortable and you kind of know, like, if you zig, they'll zag, or, you know, if you throw this at them, you'll know how they react. And I think part of being a good, you know, performer on any team, like improv team or a theater group or whatever, is knowing what your partner's gonna do. So I like those, the Totally Sketch shoots. And that's also why I like collaborating with the same people over and over, is because the more I collaborate with them, the more I know what they're going to do and what they're going to throw at me and how they work and what the end result's going to be, like how they edit even is like, plays a part in what I'm going to do because I know how they'll edit it. So that's fun, is like kind of gauging each person as an individual creator, because that's the other thing about YouTube, is each person is a producer, a writer, an editor, an actor. Like they're running their own little mini studios basically as a channel. My favorite ones are the sketches where I get to improvise a lot with people who I feel are really funny, and we have good chemistry together.
Have you taken any improv classes? Or?
Yeah, I did Upright Citizens Brigade for a little bit. Yeah. All right. I like UCB. What I like about UCB is being grounded, grounding the scenes. I think scenes are so much funnier. You can go as crazy as you want, where it's like you're an astronaut in space and you are making zucchini or something. But if you ground the scene, the audience will believe it. And I've found those things that I learned from UCB to be really helpful in writing scripts and stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you just passed 100,000 subs.
I did.
What are some?
Ago.
Oh yeah. What are some of the things that you've done to maybe enable your channel to grow that so many people have failed to do? What is?
I think there's a couple different aspects. I mean, I'm always learning and growing, but when I started decided to like relaunch my channel because I stopped producing content really, or I wasn't really producing consistent content a year and a half ago. When I really made the decision to be consistent and stick to a schedule, that was number one. That brought my audience back. I could see who was still there, I could get a gauge on what kind of content they like, what they didn't like. It got me more comfortable in front of a camera on a regular basis as myself, which part of the reason I became an actor was so I didn't have to be myself. But on YouTube, it thrives off that personal aspect. Yeah. That's another thing, is when I started producing more content, I was like, oh, I want to focus on sketch comedy and written content and scripted stuff, series, and that does well. People like it, but they won't stick around. They'll watch it, but they won't keep coming back to your channel. What keeps people coming back to your channel is having that personal aspect where they feel like they know you as a person. And so I started doing both, because my passion's in scripted content, but then connecting to my audience was also important. So I started doing Q&As on Fridays where I answer all of their questions. And then I do, and it's very silly. It's a very silly way. And then I started doing sketch comedy on Wednesdays. So I still get to do what I want to do, and then also do what helps me stay connected. So consistency was really important. Two, it helped that I'd been in everyone's videos, because since I had done so many videos with other people that were huge YouTubers, now their channels are huge, like even bigger than they were when I started, 2 million, 3 million subscribers each. When I asked them to be part of my scripted content, they gladly obliged, which I was really surprised. I was really nervous to ask them, because I didn't have anything to show them, like, no, I can do a good job, I swear. But they trusted me from how much work I'd done on their channels, and being a good sport on set was really important too. I was always very professional, always on time, always happy to be there, would send thank yous out because I really was thankful that I was working. That's what I thrive on as an artist, is to constantly be working and creating, and they were giving me those opportunities. So I was just so thankful. And a lot of what I see on YouTube sets right now is people with egos and complexes, and people being really snooty and like they're too good to be on set, and that never does well. Like, people don't want to work with you and ask you back or help you out at all. So just being a good person. That's some generic advice, but it's true. Like, a lot of people are not nice on set, and then nobody wants to work with you. So I'd worked with so many people and built up relationships, and then had them guest star on my sketches. My first sketch series here at the Space was called Audition Fail. In this room, yeah. Where I had it was based on my life auditioning in the TV and film world, exaggerated, of course. But I had each episode be a different audition with a YouTuber playing the casting director as a guest star. And I had Cassim G, Daily Grace, Steve Green Comedy, Brittany Louise Taylor, these bigger channels being the guest star. And then they came out really good, and people loved them, the guest stars, which I was so happy about, that they liked what the end result was, and they promoted them on their channels and on their Twitters, and it got a lot more traffic coming in, because you always want to have traffic coming in and then retain the traffic the audience that you have and have built. So having collaborations and doing cross promotion, and then being consistent with your personal content is really what I think builds a growing channel.
So do you have any weird fan stories? Or I know there's a feet fetish website.
Oh my god, story. Yeah. I don't know. I did not know this existed. There's a site called WikiFeet. Maybe I shouldn't promote it, but there is a foot fetish website that I was unaware of, and I used to do live stream shows every Sunday, and I would do a truth or dare one where they're like, I dare you to yell out your window. And I was like, my rules were no, nothing illegal, no nudity. And I think I had a couple other rules, but I mean, they're very silly dares. Yeah. And one of them was like, I dare you to show your feet. So I did. And I will never do that again. Because then I found this website, and now literally every time there's a video where my feet are shown in any capacity, even in like if this were a wide shot and you could see my feet in an interview, they would zoom in on the foot part and it would be posted online immediately. They're like hardcore about it. And
it's like celebrity feet.
Yeah,
like that's
celebrity feet, and they rate your feet. So, beautiful feet, nice feet, okay feet.
Like each shot, or like your feet in general?
In general.
What are your feet?
I think they're beautiful feet.
That's probably the highest.
But, yeah, it is the highest, but it's like, it shows you, like, how far you are on the meter, and, like, how many, like, ugly feet ones you got. And even though I hate this website, and I think it's silly, and I don't believe in anything it stands for, I'm still mad about the 3 people that said I had ugly feet. I do not have ugly feet. I warned people when I showed them my feet on the live show that I had been walking around barefoot in my house and I needed a pedicure, and, you know, my feet aren't normally like that. And I feel like those ugly feet ratings came from that picture, and I would give my feet a second chance. If you're rating my feet, you've never seen them in real life. They're much prettier in real life, you know. Some people take pictures and then you see them in real life, you're like, oh, that's not what they look like in their picture. But me, I'm like, I take a picture of my feet, and then you see them in real life, and you're like, oh my god, that's not what they look like in their picture. Those are golden feet.
You should get a DP to do beauty shots of your feet, and then maybe you can get those 3.
See, I would only do that if I could sell it. Okay. Like, I feel like, you know, my feet are being showcased online, and I do not get any benefit from it. I feel like that should be a showcase of, like, you know, here's a sneak peek of what, you know, what the beauty shot of my feet might look like. Yeah.
So do you have any other fan stories, or?
I don't.
I know you got those earphones, like in the.
Oh,
is there a lot of stuff like that?
I did have someone send me really, really nice headphones. I don't have a P.O. box anymore, and I used to have people, like, I used to direct them to my agent, but then my agent started getting, like, clouded with fan mail that are all like, please forward to Nikki, and I felt bad, so I don't have any of that anymore, but I work on a show called Tipsy Bartender, and he has a P.O. box, and so they sent him really, really nice headphones addressed to me, but they were anonymous people, and so I got a camera, a Rebel T4i camera,
nice.
Which was crazy because my camera broke, and so that was my excuse for why I hadn't been posting videos, and I was really getting depressed about it because I couldn't put up any content without being at the space.
Right.
And they bought me a camera anonymously because I won't take gifts if they're like, if I can see that they're a person that follows me a lot, because I don't like there to be that sense of, like, I owe you something, or, like, you're going to see me in person and, like, expect a favor or something like that. I just don't, I get weird about that stuff. So I usually don't accept gifts, but when they're, like, anonymous and you did all this work to like, get it to me somehow without me, you know, telling you, oh, send me stuff to this address. Man, I feel that was really, really sweet of those people to do that, because I use the headphone and the camera all the time.
Yeah.
I have, when interactive sex was at its peak, I lived in the middle of Hollywood, like Hollywood and Highland Center, near like the Hollywood area, and I did actually get recognized on the street a couple times, which was really bizarre to me, because I would never recognize a person from YouTube on the street. I just wouldn't. Even if I saw them in a viral video, I just can't. I don't have eyes that recognize people from one video. But this one time, I remember specifically walking, because there are a lot of guys that will, like, hit on you, too. Like, if they see a single female walking on Hollywood Boulevard, you will get hit on. So these guys were like, hey, are you Mexican? And I was like, no. And I had my headphones on and I just kept walking. And they're like, oh, hey, sorry. Are you Armenian? And I'm like, no. And then I kept walking. And then they're like, oh, hey, one more thing, I'm sorry. Are you an actress? And I was like, yeah, how'd you know? And like, because it's Hollywood, everyone's an actor. And they're like, oh, I saw some of your work. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, very sexy. I'm like, all right, yeah, you've seen my work, sure. And then his buddy behind him was like, you've seen some stuff she's done? And he's like, yeah, she was in this one video where she gets locked in the bathroom, and like basically recited the whole interactive sex video. And I was like, what? Okay, oh, I didn't realize you actually saw something I was in. And then we started talking, and I got a picture. That was the weirdest story, because he just seemed like he was just pulling shit out of his ass.
Right.
A couple times people have tweeted me or Facebook messaged me after, like, hey, were you wearing a red sweater at the Urban Outfitters on Cahuenga? And like, oh, yes, I was. Weird.
Thanks for reminding me.
I did not bring pepper spray either.
Yes, but you do keep in constant contact with your fans. You say you do the Q&As every Friday. Why is that so important?
I do the Q&As. I think it's really important to acknowledge the people that are your most engaged viewers. I don't like that whole celebrity thing where people aren't people anymore and you're above them and you're like a god status. I really think it's important to, acknowledge and thank the people that watch your videos the most, and let them know that, like, you listen to them and you hear them, and they're not just, we're not just on another side of a wall or whatever. I don't want to get too close to anybody, because you start, if you hang out or you give your number out to one person, then everyone is going to start stalking you. I'm very aware of stalkers, and I would never put myself in that boat. But I do think it's important to say, like, hey, thank you for watching my video. I know YouTube has a new function on it where you can see your most engaged viewers, and a lot of them are people that came to my live shows every week, that I recognize their usernames now because they've been watching my content for years and have seen me grow on YouTube and can actually comment, insightful comments based on what they've seen throughout the past couple of years. And I think that's important to acknowledge that they're like really loyal viewers, and so the only way I could do that, since I can't really address that in scripted content because that's a fictional world, the way I feel like I can best do that is through Q&As where I'm talking to the camera directly and I'm talking to them, and a lot of the questions end up being from the same viewers, so people keep coming back and submitting questions, and it's amazing how much they actually do get to know you, where I'll get very personal questions like, hey, how's Franklin doing? That's my cat's name. Yeah. I've only mentioned that in a couple videos. Or, what's your favorite Eminem track? Because they know that I'm a huge Eminem fan from the couple videos that I mentioned that in. And it's amazing to me how they probably know me better than some of my friends do, just from how much content they watch.
Right.
So I like that.
So
that's interesting.
Yeah. The YouTube world seems to be pretty accepting of both male and female. Do you think that that's because the viewers are choosing what they want to watch, as opposed to, like, these studio heads telling them what they want? It just seems like a lot of the YouTube stars are female.
Yeah, that's interesting. I never thought about it that way. I think it's still male-dominated as far as comedy goes, and gamers, and then you have Jenna Marbles, and then a lot of guys, a lot of like vloggers and Smosh does sketches and stuff. But I do feel like, women are allowed to do whatever they want, and I've seen a surgence of smart, funny, intelligent women, which you didn't see a lot of on TV, or I felt I didn't see a lot of those characters on TV. Women are portrayed, if you're pretty, then you're dumb, and if you're funny, you're very charactery and like fat or like freckly or like got crazy hair or something like that. You're either a character actor or you're a lead actress who's very serious and you can't do anything else because you're pretty or whatever. And I've seen a lot of funny, smart, pretty women come up from YouTube, and the fact that they're allowed to say whatever they want and have the personality that they want, that represents a lot of girls out there that I feel like I didn't have that growing up. I felt like when I was little, I wanted to be a guy. I really did, because I wanted to be in comedy, and I didn't see any women that I looked up to who were, because I still wanted to be pretty. Like every girl wants to be like, like wear dresses and be pretty and stuff, but there were not really any funny, besides Lucille Ball maybe, but there weren't really like funny, pretty girls who were like hip and grounded and like intelligent. Yeah. And so it's like growing up as a girl, you just thought, I'm either going to be in this category or this, and men I just want to be that. I wanted to be Jim Carrey. And I think it's really healthy now that girls have these women to look up to, that's out there and that's relatable, and like you're like, oh my god, I'm not alone. Like that person has a good personality and they're stylish and they're cool and like they seem very nice and down to earth. And I think I'm really happy that that's happening, and you're seeing a lot more women like that. So
maybe it's less about the content and more about the new generation coming up, and girls not caring as much and just being like, this is me, this is who I am.
I think it's a combination, and that basically everybody in this generation has been given a public platform, which can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. I mean, on the other hand, thank God YouTube and Twitter weren't around when I was a kid, because I might have content up that I could never erase, or ignorant statements that I could never take back. But now that it's around, it could be used for good or for evil, really.
Or both at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah, because I would have said some really dumb things as a kid that, looking back now, I did not need a Twitter.
No, and people can pull up the internet's forever.
Yeah.
The internet's forever.
It's forever.
So
I'm going to bring it down with this question.
Uh-oh.
What is your driving force as an entertainer?
Okay, that's not bringing it down.
Sorry. Not dark.
Oh, I thought it was going to be like, so what was your first experience with death like?
No. Just
tone it down, get serious.
I'm going to bring it a little down then.
I really feel like my driving force has always been to create, and to create and connect to people. My content tends to be kind of dark. Like I err towards the side of dark comedy, but that's mostly because I feel like there's a lot of things I've gone through that were like more painful situations, and that I think a lot of kids go through, or you're going to go through that teen depression, and you're dealing with heavy issues, and sometimes when you're going through that, you just want to laugh. And I feel like I was always very what's the word? I was very self-aware of how melodramatic I was being during those times, and I would keep a daily journal, and I would write down what I was feeling and how like depressed I was, but then I would always like turn it so dark that it became funny to me, and that would make me laugh. And I think being able to make people laugh when they're having a hard time, or they're going through a rough spot, or they're just having a bad day, or whatever, being able to change the person's energy and impact them positively that way, I feel like that is my purpose as a human being. And I bring light to the world. That's what I do. That's who I am. That I take darkness and I shed like the silver lining around the darkness, and then maybe people, won't be so dark, because no one wants to be dark.
No.
And so I'm helping the world.
All right.